How do faith communities act as sources of support for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people?
Can't squeeze blood from a turnip or hold my breath blue. I've waited and waited and waited on you. You do what you want, I do what I can. I'm trying to keep faith in my fellow man.
We all know the familiar narrative of faith communities inflicting trauma, rejection, and suffering in the lives of LGBTQ people. But is there another narrative to tell? I believe there is, and I have set out in my research to explore this other side of the story.
Like a storm to the river that cannot be washed to the sea.
I grew up as an evangelical, fundamentalist, born-again Christian. I was dunked as a Southern Baptist twice. I proved that I had the Holy Ghost by speaking in tongues in my non-denominational gatherings, and I took part in the liturgy of Lutherans in the college I attended. Running parallel to this upbringing was my deep inner turmoil with my sexuality. I had been aware of same-sex attraction feelings since I was 6 years old, but I believed I was like Paul. It was my thorn to bear.
Till it's taken enough and it breaks the seam. Yeah, we break the seam.
I was a dedicated Christian. I enrolled in the Family Leadership Institute at Focus on the Family and learned from James Dobson himself. I worked for the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. There was no doubt in my mind that I would ever act on my same-sex feelings. However, after college, I started distancing from the church due to my unusual work hours. After I spent about 6 months away from the constant stream of the church's influence, I finally recognized that I was 23 years old and never experienced romance in my life. Many other areas of my life were full of joy and were healthily developed. But if I were to be honest with myself, the gaping hole in my romantic experience was hard to ignore any longer. I decided that using online personal ads was the best way to go. I went to Yahoo and started filling out my profile. There I was, filling out my name, my gender, and then the question came, woman seeking woman or woman seeking man? I sat back. I pondered. I felt the compulsion to click woman seeking man, but I knew I truthfully wasn't seeking a man. I knew that if I wanted to be honest with myself, the only romance I was interested in was with a woman. So, with the click of a button, I came out.
Well, I know that you want it. I can see in your face. So desperate reaching, trying to chase what some call illusion, but I've seen it firsthand. It's the whispers of hope in my fellow man.
Of course, it wasn't that simple. Coming out never is. But that was the moment that I finally allowed myself to embrace my sexuality. It was also at that point that I decided that if God is going to send me to hell for inviting honesty into my life, then I'd rather go to hell when I die than continue to live a hell on earth. The only option I knew of was to distance myself from God and the church, so I did. But again, the theme of honesty arose in me. If I were to be honest with myself, I had to admit that I missed the fellowship of being in a faith community. I found my way to a church called Inclusion Community, which is part of the Reconciling Ministries Network. It was in that community that I found my way to rewrite the history of my own faith community experiences. There, I was able to be completely honest about my sexual orientation as well as my struggles with God and the church, and it was an experience which gave me great fulfillment.
Keep filling it up till it's taken enough and it breaks the seam. Can we break the seam?
It is because of my transformative process that I believe that not only can LGBTQ people benefit from being in faith communities, I know that they already are. However, many scholars still only focus on the negative experiences. Thus, I set out on my journey to conduct this research project. I'm interested in the positive stories.
In the breath of the morning, where will you be? Waiting, waiting, please wait on me. I know it's It's not easy, and I'm sure it's not grand when you're trying to keep faith in your